Hello potatoes, it's Cato Potato and welcome back to another video. So in today's video, we're back in the kitchen. We're gonna be making some holiday kits. Definitely didn't wait until the holiday sales came in and bought it off of like 50% off. Yay. And now that it's almost Valentine's Day, decided that I'll make them now. And also, I guess, while I'm baking in this video, kind of talk about my recent first GYN appointment. I feel like as I entered into my 20s, I went to the gynecologist for the first time and I got my first birth control. So I was gonna think about like doing a whole like sit down video about it, but I've been doing a lot of sit down videos recently and I haven't been actually like doing anything. And so we're gonna multitask because I like multitasking. So we're gonna bake. This one, yeah, this is a holiday chocolate peppermint donut kit. I'm excited. Alrighty. Ooh, this is cute. Oh, this is gonna be so nice to reuse. I'm gonna grab milk, really expensive product right now. And then vegetable oil. I got the mix, a half a cup of milk, so we're just gonna use some oat milk that I have. Okay. I love it when you finish a whole thing of oat milk. That's a really hard egg for some reason. One. Woo! Two. So while I mix this, let me tell you about my first gynecological visit. So I will say I got my period in like 5th grade, and like I was over at my grandma's house when I was in Korea and I started bleeding and I thought legitimately I was dying. Like I didn't know what was going on. And then my grandma, she was way postmenopausal. She didn't have like any pads or tampons, and so it was like a really strange experience. Even then I was told that it was something to be shameful of. It was really, really hard for me, and obviously I'm going to a whole doctor who's dedicated to like a female body. Like it was terrifying to me. The only thing I think that made it easier was the fact that I work at an OB/GYN office, and so I schedule people for the office, and so it was easy for me, and I ended up, you know, knowing my doctor before I got myself scheduled. And so I, you know, got insurance through my job, and I decided, you know, hey, I'm gonna get an annual appointment just to get checked out, because I haven't gone to the doctor since like COVID hit. So I was like, I should get checked out first, but I also mainly want to get on birth control. I haven't ever been on any sort of birth control. Just one of those things where, like I mentioned, didn't really have a family like talked openly about it until very recently. And a lot of the different types of birth controls have now come a long way where you don't have to be a certain age before you start something. You can be really, really young and start getting like an IUD or the next one on, or, you know, these different types of things. So I was like, I want to do my research and I want to talk to my doctor and figure out what's right for me. Okay, I'm literally grabbing a sandwich bag. Take a spoon and scoop it in here. Okay. I know. You can't have chocolate. Okay, so I have it like this. Literally a tiny corner. Okay. I'm just trying to get the base in, just so I have something, because I know that there's a lot more in the bag, but I just want to make sure that there's at least something in each one of them before I start like evening them properly. But yeah, I remember the morning of the visit, like it was obviously for me just like going to work, and I feel like I had watched so many like videos by Dr. Ali, an OB/GYN, and also someone on YouTube. She explains a lot of like very basic pap smears and different types of birth control. Like I have been watching her content a lot, just to kind of know. There we go. So got my donuts. Ooh. So yeah, while I have that cooking in there, I'm going to start on the fudges. I have coffee creamer. When I was at Starbucks, they taught me that creamer is half and half and vice versa. So we're just gonna substitute this. It's okay. Okay, there we go. And I'm gonna put a whole stick of butter in here. But yeah, I was extremely nervous when going to my first gynecological visit. When I did it, I was actually 19. And so at that point, I didn't need a pap smear quite yet. At that appointment, I expressed my concerns being like, hey, I've never been on birth control, haven't been on anything hormonal ever. I was contemplating between a hormonal IUD, like a Mirena, Liletta, Skyla, and Kylena, and the Paragard, which is the copper IUD, which doesn't have any hormones. And initially, I was very heavily considering the Paragard because I didn't want any hormones in it. But then I heard that you can bleed a lot afterwards. It's just kind of how your body reacts to it. You have heavy bleeding for a couple of weeks, maybe even a couple of months while you have it. And so I was like, well, what about the hormonal one? And those you have light spotting for a little bit, and then you basically don't have a period. I was willing to try out something hormonal. I just wanted to be careful with it, obviously. So yeah, we decided that I was going to go on the Kylena. The Kylena is the IUD that produces on the lower end of hormones, and so for that reason it lasts for 5 years compared to the other ones which last a little bit longer. Because I'm lazy, I'm just gonna use this. It's still the same fudge though, so it should be fine. Emphasis on should be. But yeah, basically I decided to get the Kylena, and my doctor told me to just get it on my next cycle. I got my annual appointment done on a Thursday, and that following Friday I got my IUD in because my cycle was upcoming pretty quickly. Whenever I start my period, I can just make my appointment for the next day pretty much. And so she called in this medication called Cytotec for me, which is actually something that they use in abortions, where they like softens the cervix for like easier passage, and specifically for IUDs it's a lot easier when you're doing the insertion of it. And I will say, like, this entire portion of getting it inserted and all that stuff, I don't want it to sound like I'm like minimizing female pain. I'm not wanting to diminish like women's experiences of getting the IUD, because I know some people have an awful time with it. So I want to make sure this entire segment, when I'm talking about the insertion process, keeping that in mind, and like the different factors where I feel like it helped me make sure I didn't have a bad experience. And so hopefully if you decide to get an IUD, this is something to keep in mind, some things you might want to consider when getting it, so it hopefully lessens the pain. But I definitely don't want to like make it seem like, oh, it was such a walk in the park, or, you know, whatever it is. I'm gonna take some wax paper, fold it to the different edges, and so that way it's already in the size and shape of the inside. And then I'm just gonna spray some. Cool. Let me start by saying that for my IUD insertion, and I'll have a whole list on the screen up here, is I made sure to research how an IUD insertion is, the demonstration. I'll even link the video that I specifically watched. Dr. Ali goes through like the different steps of how to do the IUD insertion and the whole shebang. It like made me feel so much better knowing what was going to happen down there. I obviously discussed with my doctor, and obviously she explained it to me, and she told me that inserting it during my cycle would be so much easier. I did Cytotec, so that was something that I inserted vaginally the day before, and so that helped soften my cervix for a better insertion. Had ibuprofen right beforehand, like my nurse gave me ibuprofen, was like, you're probably gonna want this, especially if you're gonna be, because I literally did it during my lunch break. And I think the last thing also, even though I knew everything that was going on, my doctor still talked me through the entire process while it was happening. So I basically have this going on. It says to just let it sit and chill, so I'm just gonna let it sit and chill. But yeah, during the insertion process, I probably felt like a little pinch, like someone was like pinching, but in reality, it wasn't that bad. To me, I have a high pain tolerance, and also I feel like I'm someone who, like, whenever I get really nervous about something, my adrenaline just kicks in and I just don't feel a lot. And so I feel like that helped as well. I spotted for those 3 days, and that was supposed to be expected. And then for like a good month, stopped having anything come out, which I was like, oh, is this what it means, that I won't have a period? Maybe I'll skip the whole spotting. Wrong. I started my period, and then pretty much I haven't stopped since. I can tell that it's not my period, I'm just spotting. But I've been spotting for like a good month now, and you know, it's not fun, it's not great, but holding out hope that it will end soon, and hopefully it'll get adjusted, and then maybe at one point I won't have my period. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. We'll see how it goes. That was my first gynecological visit and getting an IUD, and it's been pretty chill ever since. Nowadays there are a lot of people who are like, I have this kind of birth control and it's super chill, super cool, and I feel like, you know, it should be a topic that we can talk about over literally anything. We can talk about it while I'm freaking baking donuts and fudges. And so, like, you know, it's not a taboo topic. It's essentially, birth control can be so many different things. It doesn't necessarily have to be to prevent from making babies. It's, you know, hormone regulation. It's making sure that your cycles are okay. You know, there are a lot of different reasons why some people might need birth control. And so for me, I feel like obviously the main reason is there, but I also did want something to regulate my cycle a little bit better. So I felt like I definitely needed this, and so hopefully it works out for me. Obviously I'll keep you guys updated. But yeah, I will be making a video, probably just be my next video, on how to call and make your first gynecological appointment. I feel like it's really helpful to know that, especially as I recently just went to my first visit, and also the fact that, like, I'm a scheduler. It's my job for me to answer the phone calls of people and wanting them to get scheduled for an appointment. So I feel like I have a good insight on like what you should have, what you should know, what you should expect, all that good stuff. So be on the lookout for that. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you like this, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and comment down below if you have a certain type of birth control. If you want to share it in comments, let me know. Subscribe down below for more interesting content like this, and hope you have a great day. Wishing the best as always, Cato, rolling on out.